these aircraft to knock off a wing or to destroy those, you know how much it costs? $15 a shot. Who is that going to benefit long term? Who is that going to benefit long term? That will also benefit the United States. I'm going to let you finish, and we're going to wrap up the town hall.
Okay, first we are $37 trillion in debt. Second, there was an Israeli official in Vegas. He was trying to rape a kid. He got in jail. In the morning, they let him go on a flight, went to Israel. Are you able to ask Israeli official to send him back? He still worked in his same position. He tried to rape an American kid, and then they put him in jail. In the morning, they send him back to Israel. Are you able to talk to them and tell them to send him back here so he can be prosecuted in Vegas? Or you can't do that? Can you do that? Because you get paid from them, you can't do anything.
Nobody owns me, sir. Nobody owns me, sir. Nobody owns me, sir.
When you get paid by somebody,
you're insinuating that somebody owns me. My support of Israel is because of a strongly held biblical belief. To imply that somebody owns me, that is not what I've proven to be as a representative. I'm going to finish this because I'm not going to, you're not going to do that. I'm going to say this. Everybody who's paying attention to what's happening in Israel, I want you to understand what's happening to not the 750,000 Americans in Israel. You need to be paying attention to what's going on with Tim Ballard. Is the only one for Sound of Freedom. The movie was written about him. I've been in meetings with Tim Ballard, Ambassador Huckabee. Do you realize that there are 750,000 people, Christians and Druze, that are being encircled in Soweto, an hour to the north of Israel, and nobody is talking about them? 750,000, up to 10,000 people have already been slaughtered. I've seen the videos of babies dead with their grandparents shoved off of rooftops to save buildings. An American citizen jumping off of a rooftop in Syria, being forced to jump off a rooftop, and while he was shot. There is a massacre and a genocide happening by the Muslim Brotherhood, and everybody is focused on Gaza. But the same ideology that Israel has to be around and coexist with it will come to America. We've got Sharia law trying to be set up in America today. Absolutely we do. You have Sharia law trying to be established in America today. The Muslim Brotherhood is the ideology, and you've got a Turkey president. Guys, we're not going to turn into chaos. We've been really good to each other today. Turkey has a president who has made statements relative to reestablishing the Ottoman Empire. And he wants to be the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood. And so we have to make sure that as what is happening in the Middle East, that we're not getting focused someplace and letting Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood play victim when there is, as of a week ago, when I was in Israel, and we're fighting to make sure that they weren't within days of what was 30 wells poisoned and bombed in Syria, right across Israel's border to the north. People were about to be starved out of, have no water for 750,000 people. Ma'am, you're being rude. You're being rude. Ma'am, but you don't know. So I'm just going to finish this by saying, people, you're falling into the Muslim Brotherhood trap to be focused in one area and not see the genocide that is happening in Syria. I'm sorry that other people chose to turn what was a really good civil meeting into a chaos. Billy, before we leave, I'm going to make sure everybody sees this. Where's the charts? The charts that show what the Democrat Party in Oklahoma decided to do.
You're right on.
I'm going to show you what the people, because we've done 100 town halls. It's never been like this. Let me show you what the Oklahoma Democrat Party did a week ago. A week ago. A week ago, after I had a death threat, personally, 2 weeks ago I had a death threat, a man in jail threatened to kill me. He is now in prison, waiting in a mental health evaluation, and then a few weeks later, the Oklahoma Democrat Party puts up this on social media. The U.S. Capitol Police tells me about it. The Oklahoma Democrat Party says Congressman Josh Burkeen gives the date and time. We're doing 20 town halls, gave one of these locations. Get angry. Show up. Make noise. In 100 town halls that we've done in 2 years, in 100 town halls we've done in 2 years, we have never had people do these outbursts. Last night we had a man in Bartlesville stand up and tear an American flag in half. I cannot believe that the Democrat Party would choose to stoop to private messages that is telling people that hospitals are going to close and encourage them to show up when I am choosing to be accessible to my constituents and 100 different town halls and provide an opportunity for us to do this. I want you to hear this. I hate it when people try to manipulate and control you, and we will not be in this 2nd Congressional District be controlled by Democrats who want to operate and choose to operate in a lack of civility. Thank you for those of you who chose to attend. Thank you for coming. You bet.
We appreciate it.
What a smart man you are.